It's Thursday, the 23rd of October, 2025, and welcome to the Water Action Platform. My name is Piers Clark, and today on the Water Action Platform, we have 4 lovely stories to share with you, thanks to our sponsors listed here. There's a technology showcase with iFLUX, the winner of the 2025 WEX Innovation Showcase. There's an in-depth interview with the team at PFAS Suiki, and an update following the recent highly successful Trial Reservoir trial with KenWave and Brabant Water in the Netherlands. But we start today with a segment on citizen science with the head of the Rivers Trust, Mark Lloyd. Now, I say it's about citizen science, but as you're about to hear, it's actually about much, much more. We're all familiar with the challenges of climate change and the loss of biodiversity, of course. I say we all, but we have to carve out a special exemption for the current resident of the White House. Most of us, however, have seen the impacts all around us, in particular in our rivers. Now, what can be done to improve the situation? Well, I recently spoke with Mark Lloyd, the Chief Executive at the Rivers Trust here in the UK. And there are particular reasons why the UK is a good place to showcase a new approach to solving this problem, which Mark explains. Now, Mark has 35 years of rivers experience, and I started by asking him to explain what it is the Rivers Trust actually does.
So the Rivers Trust is the national representative body for the Rivers Trust movement, which is really a kind of collection of local community organisations, about 63 of them, I think, across the UK and Ireland, who do good stuff on rivers. So they put wetlands in, they plant trees, they re-wiggle rivers, they work with farmers to prevent pollution, they clean up litter, remove barriers to fish migration. So all this good stuff they do as local charities embedded in communities. And our job is to support them and encourage them and to find funding for them and to improve the context in which they operate with political lobbying.
I love that idea of re-wiggling rivers. It's like you just do this and it all works, creating those meanders inside it. But re-wiggling is perfect. That describes it brilliantly. Now, the reason we're talking has been because in the UK, there's been a very important piece of work called the KenWave Report, which has sort of set the tone for things. Can you just share a bit about your perspective on what is the KenWave Report and how that's impacting you, what you're doing?
Yeah, well, you asked me for short answers, and it's a 474-page report or something like that. So, but I'm really excited about it because we had a change in government about a year ago in the UK, and they commissioned, an independent water commission to look at all aspects of water management. And I feel that this is a once in a generation, possibly once in a lifetime opportunity for us to sort out our water management and to look at the kind of really fundamental things, you know, how regulation work, how planning works, how monitoring works to fix our broken water system, which is not, led to any improvement at all in the health of our rivers for as long as I've been working in this business, apart from some local improvements. So strategically, we're really not making the progress we need to get to have healthy, resilient rivers. And I feel that this is an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think, and the reason, so this is obviously going out to an international audience, but actually I think what we're doing in the UK with the KenWave Report and seeing how those recommendations are going to be adopted will cascade out. Other countries will look at what we've done and go, okay, well, that changed. So we do have, exactly as you described, a once in a lifetime, once in a generation opportunity to do something fundamentally different. The world is on fire, and here's an opportunity to try and correct some of the things that have gone wrong. Now,
yeah. And just on that, I mean, I think every country around the world that I visit and talk to people about rivers, they all face the same challenges that we face. It's just in a different context, but everyone has these problems to a greater or lesser extent. There, different emphasis on different pollution sources and things, but everyone is wrestling with what to do about water, particularly in the context of climate change and biodiversity loss. So we are not alone in wrestling and finding this difficult. But I think we may be coming up with some exciting answers.
Now, so the reason we're talking today is because it's about the monitoring angle of it. And prior to this interview, I called it citizen science. And you said, no, it's much broader than the citizen science angle. So what is it? What's the story that you want people to hear about today?
Well, I think the first step to managing a river is understanding what the problem is and being able to measure what you've done to see how effective your intervention has been. And at the moment in the UK, we collect a lot of data, but we collect it all in separate organisations, and they all collect it, analyse it, and report it individually. So you get a small bit of data, but you don't see the big picture because it's not brought together into a common framework, and those data sources don't talk to each other. And often, in fact, the data isn't shared, or it's shared in such a format that it's buried in a sort of government website in an Excel spreadsheet that no one can understand. So what our vision, I have a brilliant member of my team who's been working on this for about 15 years, has been trying to make this a reality, is to bring together multiple data sources from all of these organizations and then complement that with very large numbers of samples taken by citizen scientists, which won't be of evidential standard to enable a prosecution, but they will provide a really good big picture. And if those volunteers are trained and there's a purpose to what they're collecting their data, then that can form the foundation of a really rich picture of the health of our rivers, which enables us then to go forward and optimize solutions and to measure the impact of our interventions much better than we can at the moment.
Yeah. And I mean, the scale of that challenge, you don't have to do much to realize that when you talk about, there's all these multiple data sets, it's not like there's 5. there's 500 of them, and there's 500 of them in each region. I mean, so you've got both spatial and temporal and different types of data that's being gathered. I mean, this is an enormous task.
Yes, it is a huge task, and we've been running a program funded by the water regulator over the past few years, several £1 million program to try this out in 8 demonstration catchments, and each one has taken a different approach just to test out ideas about how it could work and what the benefits might be, it's been really interesting to see how that works. And in one region in particular, some volunteers went out and took lots of samples on the river, and they identified the fact that there was a pollution source that needed to be investigated. And then the Environment Agency was able to go in and say, oh, yes, we didn't know about that, and took some action and stopped that pollution going on. So at a micro scale, it works really well, but also at that macro scale, I think it just gives you that kind of big picture information about the health of rivers.
I think is such a wonderful and important story. Tell me about timelines. What are you hoping to achieve, and by when? When do you hope to get enough momentum behind this to mean that it's unstoppable? And how long will it take to get to a meaningful output?
Well, it's one of the aspects of coming out of the KenWave Commission. So in a way, it's ideal time for this idea for us to have done this testing, and then the government wanting to have a really good look at what it can do to fix water. So we are bringing forward proposals about how this might work, how you would involve all the different parties, and make it cost effective, because as ever, there isn't a lot of public money around, so we're hopeful that in the next year, this could get further funding from government to develop it further, and then possibly in 2 years' time we might have the beginnings of a system up and running. But it's been wonderful working on the project, because we have had 30 partner organisations involved in this, and it's quite a big project to bring together 30 partners and have them all working to a common objective. And I think, if we're going to crack water, that's what we need to do, is get everyone around the table who's involved and be gang up on the problem rather than each other.
Thank you, Mark. As he notes, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to turn the tide on the health of our rivers, and we wish you the very best. Our next story is all about Suiki. Now, Suiki is a startup that was spun out of TDK, the famous Japanese electronics firm. Suiki have been using TDK's knowledge and expertise in electrical systems to develop an electrochemical oxidation solution that can destroy PFAS. Now, I find Suiki particularly interesting because TDK made the decision early on to launch Suiki through an internal incubator, which meant that the team were agile and had all the benefit of the perks that come from being a budding startup. Oliver Raund, principal consultant at Isle, has been working with the team and has spoken with Donald Dibra, general manager and head of product, Jana Söffken, commercial development and go-to-market lead, and Nebojša Ilić, the PFAS expert and head of technology. Don't you just love those titles? So we jump in with Oliver asking the team, what is Suiki all about and where are they now?
We at Suiki are working on an electrochemical oxidation technology to destroy PFAS, so per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, in different water streams, mainly wastewater, like landfill leachate, industrial wastewater, or AFFF, so-called aqueous field-forming foam rinsate. And Nebojša can also say a little bit about the technology aspects.
Right. So our long-term aspirations are, of course, they take a much wider aim. But currently, we're fully focused on advancing our core technology, which means, first and foremost, building the deployable pilot system, while in parallel working to improve the fundamental performance of the system through catalyst engineering and through hybrid process design. The technology is designed around PFAS, and the electro-oxidation system utilizes a direct oxidation mechanism, targeting PFAS very effectively, while synergetically degrading co-contaminants through direct and indirect oxidation. So with electricity as the only input and a fine-tuned process with minimized parasitic reactions, such as water splitting, for example, we believe that we can make PFAS destruction very efficient with electro-oxidation, and we're working hard on making that belief into a tangible product.
That's great. Excellent. And Jana, maybe you could talk to us a little bit more about the genesis of the company and what inspired the idea for PFAS destruction technology that you have at Suiki.
Yes, sure. So PFAS Suiki, as I already said, we say shortly Suiki, is a startup backed by TDK. So the whole project has been launched internally in 2023. And since July this year, we have been carved out as an independent company. And we are based in Munich, Germany, but our name has some Japanese origin because of our mothership company. And Sui means water, and Ki comes from Kirei, meaning also beautiful or clean. So together, Suiki stands for clean water.
What technical or scientific hurdles have you had to overcome?
Yeah. Well, the hard part really is bringing together the understanding of very different concepts that are needed here, both from the science angle and the technology angle, but also from the venture building angle. Performing R&D is a very different topic when it's done in the context of a commercial success. So the individual hurdles that we come across usually are quite manageable, but the overall journey is full of findings, painful lessons and pivots and inspirational moments coming often from the most unexpected places. And developing our technology is a path with many technical questions at different scales, like catalyst fundamentals, like electrode design, like process optimization, and so on. So it's very important to keep an open mind and to speak the language of different experts in their respective fields in order to be able to learn from them and to draw inspiration from those conversations.
What from potential clients or investors, industry partners, policymakers across the spectrum, what would help you to grow and what would it be?
Yeah, I think if we could ask for one thing, it would be a spirit of curiosity and also boldness. So we value partners and also customers who are like open to experiment, learning together with us and trying new approaches, even if it maybe means making mistakes along the way. And also partners who are really willing to be early adopters and exploring new solutions for PFAS destruction. And from investors, we'd ask also for patience and trust. So partners who believe in our mission and understand that real impact sometimes takes time. And also they are ready to support us as we innovate, learn, and also grow in this emerging market.
And then finally, Don, to you, how can interested stakeholders or from that customer point of view, potential customers or collaborators get involved or support you in your mission? What partnerships or resources if you're looking for, and how can they take you and your company to the next stage?
Mm-hmm. Well, at the moment we are looking to partner with industrial players who have a need for an on-site PFAS destruction solution for their effluent, and also are willing to cooperate with an early stage startup as we are at the moment, and see themselves also as early adopters of this technology. Of course, we welcome collaborations on pilot projects, access to contaminated water streams for on-site testing, and strategic partners who can help scale manufacturing, but also the deployment of our solutions. So if someone shares our mission to eliminate PFAS for good, we'd love to connect.
Thank you, Oliver and Suiki team. Now, earlier this year, Suiki successfully completed a funding round and launched as an independent team. So the next couple of years are going to be particularly exciting. Now, a couple of months ago, we told you about the launch of a new trial in the climate change Trial Reservoir, where Brabant Water from the Netherlands are piloting the use of dynamic resonance imaging, or DRI, for mains pipeline condition assessments. Well, that trial has finished and it was a complete success. DRI was applied across 2 kilometres of Brabant Water pipelines with lots of comprehensive key performance indicators that were all there to check that the DRI process was working.
As promised during Water Action Platform number 79, we're back with an update on the Trial Reservoir project with KenWave at the Brabant Water facilities in the Netherlands. First, a quick reminder of the KenWave technology. DRI is a non-disruptive and non-invasive solution that provides condition assessment and leak data by converting vibrations and acoustics into imagery. This gives a holistic understanding of pipeline conditions and helps asset owners, operators, and managers make informed decisions about operations, risk management, and budget planning. Brabant Water was eager to find a technology they could structurally embed in their decision-making process for pipeline renewal. The Trial Reservoir provided a collaborative platform for Brabant Water and KenWave, starting with the definition of clear and straightforward KPIs to measure the trial's success. Now let's hear more from Roel Diemel, Senior Asset Manager Infrastructure at Brabant Water, and Sebastian Perrier, Senior Director of Technology at KenWave.
So we're here today with Sebastian Perrier. He's Senior Director of Technology at KenWave, and we're here with Roel Diemel, who is Senior Asset Management of Infrastructure in Drinking Water. Thank you both so much for being here today. Very nice to see you both again. First question to Roel. Do you consider that the Trial Reservoir project program has facilitated the trial executions? And if so, in what way did it facilitate?
I came up with the Trial Reservoir just on the right moment, gave Brabant Water the opportunity. Also the push to go ahead with exploring the DRI from KenWave. Doing a test trial with a company overseas is normally quite a challenge, but became a well thought and planned collaboration by doing this by a Trial Reservoir.
So for the Trial Reservoir, we normally develop some KPIs, some success KPIs. How did the trial KPIs facilitate?
Yeah, Brabant Water had it in the past, also other trials, but not with KPIs or less KPIs, and no obligations. And I think in this trial, the success was that at forehand we knew what kind of success we wanted to do afterwards, a continuation of the trial. And that way, the KPIs were seriously thought through and made it also possible to do afterwards a continuation of the trial to more measurements in future.
Great. Sebastian, what would be the most important or the most significant outcome for you from this trial?
Yeah, I think that would be twofold. The main outcome from KenWave perspective would be the successful validation of the technology. specifically for asbestos cement pipe. And then obviously the direct application of the successful validation is the adoption by the technology by Brabant Water.
Mm-hmm. Was the support from the Trial Reservoir of importance from a more technical perspective for you?
Yes, absolutely. And the Trial Reservoir, so on the aspect of it first de-risked the funding. So that's a really important aspect, allows to focus on the technical component. And then it sets clear expectation and rigorous performance validation for both Brabant Water and KenWave. So we're making sure that we're fully aligned, right? And then we have that collaborative environment. That was the most important. I think that's what transparent from the project is the collaboration. We feel like we're working as a team.
How important were the KPIs for you in this entire process?
Oh, they were central to the trial success. That's where we spent, aside of being aligned first on the expectations of the technology, understanding the needs from Brabant Water, the KPIs were central to make clear performance metrics, making sure that we're technically aligned. They're objective criteria, remove the subjectivity, making sure that they can be calculated. And then, we align beforehand, we align the expectations and we discuss through. So then when the project is executed, then it's clear what everyone has to do, what is expected. And then we make sure that we have all the information to meet all those criteria and happy that we were successful all together.
Perfect. So, from an operational perspective, how is the KenWave technology going to change your way of working from now on?
The KenWave technology makes it possible to measure without interrupting the water supply. And that is for us very interesting to do more measurements without any costs and customer complaints or a lack of service. So it's very important for Brabant Water to know more about our mains. In a service level that is positive for our clients.
Mm-hmm. And what if you could give any utility operator a recommendation when they start a Trial Reservoir program or project? What would that be?
When you are serious about a new method and you think it through about how it can be implemented, then you're seriously about how it's be structured in your processes, and that is very interesting to do with a Trial Reservoir. So not only trying, but also think about structural implementing those new methods in your processes.
Yes, Sebastian, if you would engage in another Trial Reservoir in the future, what would you do or what would you like to see done differently?
I think overall, that was really an effective approach. There was a few checkpoints that were really, really crucial into the execution of the project. So in terms of improvement, I think you're already high value delivery on the program. Maybe greater customization and agility for expanded scope of work, potentially, or earlier stakeholder engagement adoption of the technology. But otherwise, no, that was highly effective. The de-risk by the funding, the collaborative platform that it offers, and the specific criteria, all of these together, I think makes that program really, really effective.
That sounds really good. It was such a pleasure for me specifically at ISLE to work with you. It has been a great success. Also, I think both a success for Brabant Water, very interesting success also for KenWave. And I wish you all the luck for the future. And of course, I hope to see you all very, very soon again in any of these very interesting projects. Thank you so much.
As Vo and Sebastian shared, all KPIs were achieved, and the trial was a clear success. The open, collaborative approach was key to this outcome and has laid a strong foundation for future cooperation. It seems this is only the start of a promising and long-term journey together. Thank you for listening and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Vanessa, Roel and Sebastian. Now, as we've heard, the trial met all of its KPIs, which means that Brabant Water are now implementing DRI across their networks, starting with another 12-kilometre section of pipeline. The primary savings come from avoiding unnecessary physical work and use of resources. Firstly, there was reduced civils works. It's non-invasive and everything's above ground without needing to enter the pipe. Secondly, it's optimizing the pipe replacement process. Instead of replacement decisions being based on age or statistical models, which can lead to the replacement of entire sections, DRI identifies only those specific pipes or segments that are structurally weak. This prevents a huge carbon footprint associated with manufacturing, transporting, or installing kilometres of unnecessary pipe. And thirdly, it was the prevention of emergency repairs. Catastrophic failures require emergency responses, and this is obviously highly carbon intensive. And finally, well, there's the benefit of reduced water loss. Leaks waste water that's already been treated and pumped, both of which are energy intensive. Now, by preventing the leaks before they happen, Brabant Water has saved energy and the associated carbon emissions from water production and distribution. So well done to the team at Brabant Water, and well done to KenWave. Now, we finished today with a technology showcase, and this month it is the Belgian company iFLUX. The key thing you need to know about iFLUX is that they were the winners of the Innovation Showcase at the excellent WEX event in Lisbon earlier this year. iFLUX's aim, which I believe impressed the judges at WEX, was to become the world authority on groundwater dynamics. Well, what is groundwater dynamics? Here is the chief executive, Christian, explaining more. What is groundwater dynamics? What do you mean by that?
Hi, Piers. Thanks. Well, groundwater dynamics, it's something that I discovered when I joined iFLUX a couple of years back. It's underneath our feet is actually the biggest source of fresh water on this planet. 99% of our fresh water is under the surface. And we're used to seeing rivers and lakes. That's very visible. It's very, very clear to us that there's fresh water there. But similar to rivers, that groundwater under the surface, which is hidden from us, is actually moving. It's not moving as fast as rivers, but it's constantly on the move. And that means that there's some kind of creeping threats because we haven't been the best stewards of groundwater. There's contamination in the ground. We have more extreme weather, so dry periods, wetter, wet periods, creating even more movement. And that means that this groundwater system has become quite a volatile thing that we probably should understand better so that we can manage it towards the future. And that's what we do.
Excellent. So what we've got is underground water moving about, picking up pollutants from one area and transferring to another area, or hitting rocks and having to go around, all of that stuff. And you can paint a picture of what's happening under the ground. So how do you paint that picture? What is it you do? What are your sensors? Where do you place them? How do they work?
So we've got two technologies working on kind of distinct challenges. So the first technology that we developed in 2017 is our iFLUX sampler. That gives you kind of like a video clip of how contamination is moving through the subsoil. So here we're serving the remediation market, soil remediation, soil assessment, and the big consultancy companies that do those assessments or perform the soil remediation, they use our data to not understand just, where is that contamination, but how fast is it moving, at which depth, in which direction, and so on. So they can really save costs, save time, be more efficient and effective in their remediation approach. So that's our first technology. Unfortunately, we don't have a real-time PFAS sensor yet. There's many companies working on that, but we did develop a real-time water flux sensor. So we developed a sensor that can measure the speed and direction of groundwater movement in real time. So we can do that horizontally or vertically, where, for example, surface water meets groundwater, like a riverbank or an infiltration pond, and we can measure those fluxes, so the speed and direction of that movement. So we basically start with our service offering, which is advanced aquifer intelligence. And we say, look, what's your strategic challenge at your site? Are you facing saltwater intrusion? Do you need to optimize, your infiltration and extraction so that you have better retention times? Are you facing some kind of contamination that you need to keep under control? And we're going to help you design the monitoring network you need to understand what's going on in real time and to get the insights you need to say, okay, I need to steer. I see that when I turn on this pump, this happens to my water levels, this happens to my water fluxes, and I want to manage in the right direction. Well, we'll design the whole network you need. We'll take care of the implementation, the maintenance, we'll take care of the data storage, and make sure that you get it all available on a nice, clean dashboard so you can start to take the right actions.
Okay, how many of these have you got actually being used in practice?
Our samplers, we've already got 7,700 of those sold across Europe since 2017. There, we're really looking for international partners to scale our business. We've got our first distribution partner in the US, and we're working on finalizing contracts this quarter with an additional 5 distribution partners. So proud to be moving forward there. Our iFLUX sensing solutions are a little bit more early stage. We really developed them and our platform in 2023 and 2024 with the EIC funding. And there we've got about 30 commercial networks up and running. We just signed some really nice large-scale 4-year contracts with drinking water companies in Belgium and the Netherlands. And here we're also looking for partners to help us roll this out internationally. Of course, here it's a bit more tricky because once you've got a hardware component in the field, you need to be able to give the right service. Let's say that some wild animal rubs up against your sensor and it falls over, or your battery, runs out of juice. Someone needs to go there and change the sensor. So from Belgium, we need good partners to serve clients in Spain, in Portugal, in Denmark, and etc. So that's what we're setting up at the moment.
Excellent. Well, I think I've heard 2 things there. One is that you're obviously interested in talking to utilities or people who have land managers who've got water aquifers that might require your services. But it sounds like from a commercial level, what you really want are partners who can help serve those local markets, whether it's in Ethiopia or the United Kingdom or Scandiland or wherever that might be. Tell me about the commercials. How does this work?
We understand that our clients are not in the business of managing sensors and IoT. So we take care of all of that headache for them, and our clients just pay for the data they get at the end of the day, nice and clean on a dashboard.
Nice. So if I'm a utility, I'm not having to buy 1,000 sensors or whatever it might be. They're your sensors. I'm buying a service of data.
Correct. Especially, we integrate a lot of sensors that are already out there and have an established name. Since our sensor is innovative and new, we take away a lot of the insecurity about, well, how long is this going to last? But just saying, you don't need to worry about it. We own the sensor, we maintain the sensor, and you just pay for continuous data streaming. So you don't have to be concerned with that side of the story.
It is a terrifically exciting technology. And if you want to talk to Christian, either as a potential partner or a potential client, please follow up directly with his email here. With that, we come to the end of this month's broadcast. Once again, I thank our sponsors shown here. The next Water Action platform will be released on Thursday, the 20th of November at the usual times. As per the last couple of months, we will be coming to you via LinkedIn. So follow the ION Media stream on LinkedIn to subscribe. Until then, keep asking questions, keep sharing, and keep safe.